You're thirsty. You pull up to an illegal lemonade stand on a hot day in a safe neighborhood, just as the children are being arrested. Welcome to the Sidebar. I'm Sebastian Morales, filling in for Clint Myers-Novak, who's currently tobogganing through Greater Colorado. Outlaw Biker Magazine is just what it sounds like. Harleys, choppers, bitches, and boobs. And those who love to ride both. Magenta Lee is a contributor to Outlaw Biker Magazine with her monthly article, Save a Cowboy, Ride a Hog, which gives dating advice for motorcycle mamas. Magenta, welcome to the Sidebar.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Magenta, I want to get right into some dating advice.
Love it.
Tell us what you're featuring in this month's issue, and specifically you tie your dating advice to specific bikes, hogs.
Hogs, yeah.
So, dating advice, hog 1.
Well, first of all, if he's not riding a Harley, don't fuck him. Don't talk to him.
Not down
if
with
he's not
with
a
a
Harley
Yamaha.
man, absolutely not. Don't even say that kind of thing in my presence again.
Now, just to...
Sorry, that seemed a little aggressive.
Oh, that's okay. You can take your stance. We don't judge here at the Sidebar.
Okay.
We also edit heavily.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you've drawn a line in the sand. Harleys only. Why no Yamaha? Why no Honda?
I mean, not to be racist, but because I'm racist. Those bikes are from Asian countries,
and you're famously anti-neon, even though your name is Magenta.
That is accurate. Yes, I did have hot pink shoelaces in first grade, and my brother made fun of me. He pushed me down a hill. I had to get 14 stitches in my left leg because I got caught on a tree stump, and I just don't care for neon. Yeah.
Now, some of your dating advice actually includes objects that may be sort of out of date and definitely come in neon. You're pushing a slap bracelet line.
I am, yeah.
And, they were famously banned in the 90s because people were getting cut, but you don't seem to have a problem with that. In fact, you say if a cowboy doesn't have a cut, he's a mutt.
That is something that I actually do say in the column, and everybody who subscribes to or purchases this month's copy is going to see that. Yeah.
And are you currently practicing what you preach?
I'm wearing right now. I have on 1, 2, 3. I have 3 slap bracelets on my left arm, and I have 2 on my right. Is that's what you were asking?
It wasn't actually. I was actually.
Okay.
I mean, it was part of it because it's what you would use to attract a man. I would say.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna get right into your love life. We're gonna get into your
absolutely
your dating scene. What's that like for you right now?
I am taken now. I have been with my beau for about 6 months. And, I don't really want to say his name because he's married, so.
And what was a first date? What is a first date? What is an outlaw biker first date?
Good question. Yeah. So, we went to the auto parts store on our first date, and we got tire cleaner. He cleaned my tires for me. I thought that made him a little bit submissive and sort of a bitch. At first, and then he and I mentioned that to him, and he just playfully slapped me in the face, and I kind of just knew from there that it was going to be good. We went to Outback Steakhouse. We got the Awesome Blossom, which people also call like a bloomin' onion. So we shared one of those, and I had a mudslide. He had a frozen strawberry margarita.
And Outback is on the biker dating circuit, right? There's Cracker Barrel and there's Sizzler.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just a dumpster or a trash can, depending on where you are in America.
Some people, when they kind of buy outside of their means, yeah, they do end up having to eat out of a trash can, because people sometimes will buy a bike that they thought they could afford the payment on, and it turns out they can't unless they cut some corners elsewhere in their monthly budget. And a lot of times food is going to be one of the first things to go after heat.
Now, eating out of a trash can or eating on the trash circuit is part of just a biker courtship ritual, really. You have sort of a list, you have rules of courtship.
Absolutely.
Not any, because you need to weed out the those who aren't up to par, those who aren't bikers. I mean, I myself am not a biker.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay.
I'm not. I have a bicycle. I have a Schwinn.
Huh.
But tell us about your courtship rituals.
Well, so one of the things that we really like to do is we like to go to the Big Dogs outlet store. That's in Wisconsin Dells.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, so it's a really high quality clothing brand. All of the shirts or sweatpants, sweatshirts, hoodies, socks, boxer shorts are emblazoned with the logo Big Dogs, and a lot of them feature a Burmese mountain dog. One of the really the nicer ones will have a saying, like it, if you're not the lead dog, the view never changes. A lot of times they'll have like really clever phrases like that on the shirt or the sweatpants.
And so you go and you purchase a certain amount, or are you gifting?
Well, this is
Big Dogs, or you just try them on.
Well,
because part of I'm sorry to cut you off, but part of your courtship ritual is shoplifting.
It is, yeah, at Big Dogs outlet, but we want to keep them in business, so it is customary for the woman to buy the man one pair of boxer shorts and then one other item. It's sort of up to their discretion which item.
Now tell me about matching haircuts. It
Yeah.
has to be at least 15 years backdated.
Absolutely.
Always out of style.
Absolutely, yeah. My partner and I both have chunky highlights. He, it was hard for him because he and his wife, they both had perms, and he, I'd said, listen, you're married to the bitch, but you're with me. And, our hairstyles do need to show that. And so he did go, he got his hair straightened, and he did get frosted tips to match my chunky highlights. So, yeah.
And that was called the Skeeter?
It was called that, yeah. It is still called that.
Still called that.
Yeah.
Now tell me about nipple piercing. Tell me more specifically nipple flare.
Nipple flare. So one of my favorite pieces of nipple jewelry is actually I kind of repurposed one of those belly button rings, the one that has one small ball on the top and a large one on the bottom, and it has sort of a bead in the front that says Harley. I like to put that on sideways. So even though it is sideways on my chest, if you're familiar with the Harley logo, you will realize what it is. Or you could turn your head sideways.
And, you've graced the cover of Outlaw Biker Magazine 4 different times.
4 times.
And you're famous for wearing knockers for your knockers.
Yeah, that is something that I like to do. Yeah. It's funny. The first time I did it, I didn't know how people were going to react. And it just was like, they loved it. And so, yeah, 3 more times after that, I did it. And now I'm kind of like, that's sort of like a household name for, wearing knockers on my knockers.
Well, I would imagine you could bid to get sponsorship from Home Depot or from Lowe's. And it's definitely an upgrade from a doorbell, I would say.
What?
Let's get back to you, Magenta.
Great, yeah. I am my favorite subject. So
yeah. we're gonna go back onto courtship rituals now.
Yeah.
Tell us about biker fights.
Oh gosh, it's a misconception that bikers fight often. I would say it's more like they fight frequently. You know what I mean? Like you do want to make the differentiation between often and frequently. I have seen in the last week only actually 2 people get hit in the head with a chair.
Is that often or is that frequent?
This week it was more like often. Yeah.
And what would be frequently?
3 times a week seeing someone get hit in the head with a chair. There was recently, I do want to mention this, there was a shootout. It was in front of a Hobby Lobby. It was actually, they weren't rival gangs. They were friends. They were actually really good friends. It turns out that one of them bought the last bag of popsicle sticks, and both of them wanted to make these things called God's Eyes.
What is a God's Eye? A
God's Eye is where you wrap yarn around popsicle sticks that you kind of like put together as a cross, and you just kind of keep wrapping it around, and it creates sort of like I guess like God's eye must look like that, or else why would they name it that?
And they do that because bikers are famously superstitious.
They are, yeah. We are, yeah.
Now tell us about the biker demon that you would say haunts your father's Harley.
Oh, well, first of all, the biker demon, he gets mad when we talk about him, but I'm going to because I think that the anger is his power, and if I kind of, if he gets powerful enough, he'll leave my dad alone and go pick on somebody his own size. One of the things that I didn't like was when my dad was thrown off his bike into the Grand Canyon.
But luckily he survived. He landed on a massive pile of manure.
From the donkeys.
Yeah. And then he was able to hitch a ride and come back up to the surface, but his bike was gone, and the bike demon
was riding it.
Yeah. And so your dad has been on a never-ending quest to track down his bike that son of a bitch ghost in quotation marks.
That was a 2005, Harley Heritage Softail Classic,
which is a nice bike.
It really was. It really was, and he did replace it. He ended up getting a 2007 Harley Heritage Softail Deluxe. So yeah. And
your dad, so regardless, he was going to get a bike every 2 years, right? And he names his bikes. What's the name of the 2007 bike?
Darla Joe.
Is Darla Joe?
It is, yeah.
And the 2005 bike was Darla Chris.
No.
Darla Chris was 2003. Darla Rose. Yeah. And it's always Darla something. And who is Darla?
Well, Darla is a woman that used to work at Mr. Donut on North Avenue. He had asked Darla out a number of times. She said, listen, no, I'm in my late 70s. I can't believe I'm still working. My husband died recently, and no, I'm not looking. He was my eternal love. And my dad didn't really, like that. He did stab Darla. Yeah, so it's just someone that he really loved, that he, holds in high regard, even with the stabbing, yeah.
Well, a little stabbing every now and then in a biker circle is really just common practice. That's, that's like a diabetic pricking their finger.
Absolutely. And while we're there, I just want to say, and some of my, one of my most important dating tips is if he doesn't stab you, he doesn't love you. Imagine a man not, taking out his hard day on you with a sharp object. How would you know if that man cared?
I don't think you would. I think a dull object or a soft object just simply wouldn't have the same impact. It simply wouldn't have the same effect. You need something heavy. If somebody were to ask me, if somebody were to say, Sebastian, what would you beat your wife, even though she's long deceased,
sure.
as my children are,
Oh.
I would probably beat them with a bowling trophy.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
Now
you're not a biker.
I'm not. Well,
right.
I'm a BMXer, retired.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
No, it's not. Now, one thing we do have in common that all bikes have in common is handlebars. And our beloved researcher, the Internati Harper, just put this note in front of me that Darla's nickname was Handlebars. Now, the ghost of Darla is actually the one who's haunting your father. And in your dating advice, you give general haunting advice where the beau that you're pursuing, if he's being haunted by a spectral being that was affiliated with a biker gang, how to fend them off. And you have several ways of combating this now.
I do. I have a couple different ones. One of them is you want to burn the living hell out of Velveeta shells and cheese.
Right. Burn the shit out of it.
You want to burn the hell out of it. You want to put the pot into your sink and put water in it. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to leave that there and just don't wash that pot.
Forever.
Well, until it's just so bad that you don't want to be in your home anymore.
Now famously it's known as liquid gold, but you want to wait until it turns into liquid bronze.
Basically, yeah.
Then tell us the next step with the pot, because you bring it outside, you have to dig a hole, so make sure you pre-dig your yard hole.
Yeah, you do want to dig that. You want it to be 2.5 feet from the surface. You do want to measure that. Any shorter, any longer, it's not gonna work. You will be haunted for the rest of your life.
That's true, and there are bikers that are haunted.
Right. And this is one of those things where you can't just do it again. You got one shot. And
for our listeners out there, a quick way to identify a haunted biker is by the little butt crack. The top of it just hangs out there like a coin slot, and really, it's actually good luck that if you're driving by and you flick a nickel and you land it in there, that's 7 years of good luck.
Well, as someone who, loves good luck and once broke a mirror, I think that's kind of a good way to restore, equilibrium to the universe.
And I'm someone who loves nickels, so if I rode a bike, maybe we would be a match. But unfortunately, it's just me alone in my apartment, and that's fine. But getting back to the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Now tell us, what's the next? Okay, you bury the pot, you cover it, then you move.
You do want to move.
Right.
One thing that you should not do is disclose the snake problem to the realtor or potential buyers.
You don't want to tell them anything.
You don't want to tell them that you have the home was built on sort of like a snake den, and you will have horrible snake problems about four months out of the year. Don't tell them about the snakes.
Now, not only do you not tell them about the snakes, but you want to recruit. Now, you have a specific way of recruiting, and that is through realtors, right? As people come to look at houses, it's not easy to just get somebody into a bike gang.
That's
am I
true.
wrong?
That's true. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think really gets people on board is shame. You want to shame them. You want to make them feel like they're not man enough. That's really important.
And you do that by shrinking their leathers.
You do that, yeah.
So really small vest.
Tiny vest.
And a room full of mirrors will really knock your ego down.
Absolutely.
A couple pegs.
Or another thing you can do is a really enormous vest, so that they feel like they're like a wimp.
Mm-hmm. And studded, right?
You're going to need to have it be studded, yeah.
Now, what are some other ways? So there's shame. Now, what? Yeah. So you recruit with shame, but tell us about...
Like, you're not a man unless you're riding a hog. Like, things like that.
Right. And how many people? Does that come from one person? Does it come from the entire gang?
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you are, really. If it seems weird to have a motorcycle gang at an open house. So you want to just act like you're another, potential buyer. That's one of the ways that it's really a good way to do it. If you are doing like how do I explain this without coming across as uncaring?
When I want to be uncaring, I just close my eyes, bang on the table, and yell into the microwave.
I fail to see how that's gonna help me right now.
Well, you're from Reedsburg, Wisconsin.
I am from
Now,
Reedsburg.
now you're currently
home of
in
the Beavers.
Right, so you're in the Beaver Gang.
Yeah.
Right, and that's all choppers, bad bitches, motorcycle mamas, and you're all single and dating.
Yeah.
You're out on the prowl.
Absolutely.
Hot to trot.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about living in Reedsburg is that you only have to drive about 15 miles in two directions to get to another city, and then any other city you have to drive at least 30 to 60 miles to reach another place where people dwell. That's one of the benefits to having a hog, is that, you're able to get to these other towns to meet more men.
Like William H. Macy and John Travolta.
Who?
I've seen Wild Hogs, and let me tell you.
What?
I thought it was a documentary until halfway through. Great movie.
That movie makes a mockery of something that's really serious.
And then I thought it was a mockumentary.
All right. Well, I'm not trying to be aggressive towards you. Men don't really like aggressive women. That's another dating tip that I like to give. So let's just not bring up things like Wild Hogs.
No, that's fine. We can bring up your specific motorcycle helmets that your gang wears. Now, they're cheeseheads.
Yes.
But they're helmet cheeseheads.
Yes, cheese helmet.
They're cheese helmets.
Yeah.
What type of cheese? Is it based on the Green Bay Packers?
It is, yeah. And that's a really funny thing, is that everyone in Wisconsin, we kind of laugh about the cheese hat, the foam cheese hat, because inexplicably it's the color of an aged cheddar, but it has holes in it like a Swiss. So the hat itself is just kind of it's not grounded entirely in reality, but it gets the job done. And
now you're famously a female gang, but you do have one male member.
Yes, we do.
Aaron Rodgers, he just tucks it back and goes.
We don't ask.
And he doesn't tell.
No, he doesn't tell. No. But he does enjoy riding with us when he has some time off and he wants to come south to Reedsburg.
Are you allowed to share your biker motto with us?
It's kind of like something you keep you kind of keep it in your heart.
Well, it's Morse code, I believe. Our beloved researcher, the ancient Addie Harper, just handed me a note written in blood. Are you bleeding, Addie? It's
Who
not
are
Morse
you
code.
talking to?
Our beloved researcher, the intern Addie Harper, she works here for college credit and is allowed to leave every other weekend.
Wait, is she okay?
Oh, she's fine. She bleeds all the time.
Would she have hemophilia? I don't understand.
No, she's accident prone and she hasn't updated her eyeglass prescription in a couple of years.
Oh
but
my God.
She's always upbeat. Addie, yeah, way to go. Yeah. Fist
Hi,
of love.
Addie.
She says hi.
Okay.
She's nodding.
Okay.
Addie's currently learning sign language.
Oh.
And so she hasn't spoken in 24 hours.
I can sign most of the alphabet.
Can you? Well, that's what I was getting at. Was
Yeah.
Could you? I know you can't sign your bike gang motto over the air, but maybe you can clap it.
Okay. Yeah. Ready?
Sure. That's filthy. I'm not sure we can air that, but we can edit around it. Maybe the middle clapping would do it. How did you come up with that?
Oh, that's a funny story. So when my my grandma and my great aunt and their friend Bev, who works at Prangy Way, they were at A&W one night when they still had it, where the ladies would, bring your food out to you on a tray and put it on your car window. So they were there. They were having root beer floats, and a guy came by. He commented something about Beverly's tits. My grandma and my great aunt ended up tackling him to the ground. They did open his mouth and fill it with the contents of the 3 root beer floats. He died. Yeah, so basically that was the last thing that they had heard him say while he was gargling on all the root beer float.
You know, when I was a young boy in Chile, a root beer float was when they took the youngest person in your tribe, tied them to a tree, and threw them out into the water, let them float.
I mean, God bless America. When I hear stories like that, I just think, thank God I live in the greatest country, in the world.
It's one of them.
It's the greatest.
Well, that's debatable.
It's actually not debatable, so maybe we should move on.
We can move on.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I can debate anything. This is my show.
Do you want to hear...
This isn't NPR.
Do you want to hear more about, my biker dating tips, or do you want to...
I would love to. Now...
Go toe-to-toe about the U.S.
Now...
The U.S. of A.
We can go toe-to-toe about the U.S. of A, but specifically, let's just get right into religion. Now, you've branched out into Scientology, and I brought up Wild Hogs because John Travolta he's starting a rival gang, and it's a female-driven gang, but John Travolta's in it because he's a song and dance man. Now, You're starting your own song and dance biker gang.
I am, yeah. It's it's a throwback to vaudeville, if you will.
How so?
Well, we're gonna have different numbers. There will be some tap dancing. There will be a portion where the audience will go outside, and a number of ladies are going to rev their engines, but musically. I see, and
like
also... It's like a string quartet, but with our, exhaust systems.
And poodle cakes.
Poodle cakes?
Kicks.
Oh yeah, I thought you said poodle cakes. No, poodle kicks. Yeah, I just didn't know what a poodle cake was.
I believe a poodle cake is found in a urinal.
I don't use the men's room.
Neither do I. But back to your song and dance. Is
that something that they do in Chile? Is that the men don't use the women's room?
Well,
or the men do use the women's room?
When I was a young boy in Chile, the elder statesmen would defecate in our food trough. And
you ate out of a trough?
We did when we had one. When we couldn't afford one, we would make one out of spittle and grass.
God bless the USA.
We used to say US of A, but I believe it's the same thing. Now, vaudeville is a very specific craft. It's a very specific time and place. Where are these concerts? Do you call them concerts?
Yeah, we do call them concerts just for kind of like ease of, I guess, understanding. We do them usually at the VFW. Veterans of Foreign War. Yeah. What I like about the VFW is that no matter where you are and whatever the laws around smoking are, you can smoke cigarettes in a VFW. They do provide pie tins with sand in them as ashtrays, and I feel like that just gives me just a feel like I'm at home wherever I roam.
And Pie Tins and Ashtrays is the name of your album that you just released.
Yeah, and it's actually it's funny. It's an interpretive dance album, but you can't actually see the dancing. We didn't really think that through.
So there's a lot of quiet.
Well, you can hear like our feet moving a lot. So you can sort of imagine the moves that we're doing, because we really put a lot of work into coming up with some of the best routines that you've probably ever seen. I mean, I don't know if you follow modern dance, but
I have season tickets. So yes.
Okay. To modern dance?
To all of it.
Okay.
Even unmodern dance.
Oh.
Old dance.
Okay.
New dance.
Got it. Something I learned recently, which was interesting, was about ballet. I read it in a magazine at the doctor's office. I was picking up, or I was renewing my prescription for Valtrex, and it actually said that ballet was created to keep people busy and make it so they wouldn't actually question what was going on in the government of that time in that place. So the guy would make complicated dances, and people would be, unable to really think about how much they're being dicked over because they were so busy learning moves.
That's true. Our former United States President Andrew Garfield was a big ballet advocate, and since his presidency, every incumbent president has been given ballet lessons just in case of to thwart possible assassinations.
Oh yeah.
Now you can't be shot if you're ballet.
Absolutely no.
No one has ever been shot while
Not
performing
one
ballet.
person, no.
And
never, and I believe never will be.
Well, you can't predict. I don't mean to put this out there, but maybe some other forms of dance. Now there's some bike dancing.
There is bike dancing.
You use sidecars.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Well, that's when so far it's just for the kids. Anybody who's got a body mass that, basically anybody over 86 pounds is not going to have the easiest time unless they're, if they're 86 pounds and really short, it's not going to work.
I think what I was getting at more
Please.
Is when you're riding the bike,
yeah,
whether you have a sidecar or not, there's two different moves. The first one, you're riding your bike and you jump off your bike and you start dancing next to your bike as your bike is going.
There is that one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
called morking?
That's not the Scooby. What's the Scooby-Doo?
The Scooby-Doo? Oh, that one. Okay, so that one is the one you definitely are going to need to have a sidecar for.
I thought that was the Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Nope, that's the variation.
The Woodstock.
Yes.
Now, what's all right, there's the Snoopy, there's the Woodstock. What's the Hardscrabble? What's the Pan of Bacon?
It's these are things that I think, if it's possible, next time, I take the long trip to Sturgis, I could maybe make a detour. I could come find you, meet you. I could bring my bike, and I could show you some of these.
I would love a lesson.
I would love to give you a lesson.
Okay, Magenta, you famously dated some celebrities, some biker celebrities.
Yeah.
Tell us about your torrid affair with Kid Rock.
Oh God. So, he and I, we met in 2006. Joe C was still alive at that time. R.I.P. Joe C. A lot of people believed he was a quote midget, which isn't a nice word to say.
No, it's not.
He's not. He wasn't. We did have one threesome
Dwarf, I think.
with him. Yeah, he actually had a different kind of disability that wasn't really. He was not a dwarf, but one of the things about Joe is he was a sensitive lover. He had a delicate touch. He would often he would cry. Before, during, and after coitus. He was a bit of a pussy, I would say. He did not ride a Harley because he was simply too small. At one point, they were building him, I don't want to say a kid-size Harley. It was a Joe C-size Harley.
Like a big wheels with an engine.
It was that's a good way to describe it. He died before they were able to present him with this. But sometimes, if no one was looking, I would let him ride on my bike. But I would ride in towns where nobody knew me because I didn't want people to be like, "Hey, ma'am, is that your son? He's ugly."
Now, was he a part-time lover or a full-time lover?
Oh, definitely part-time, yeah. We had the one threesome with Kid, and then Joe C and I, on occasion, would go to a Motel 6 and pour, hot candle wax on each other's buttholes.
And that was actually an art exhibit that you had in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we removed the wax and we displayed them on actually hand whittled pine wood kind of stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my father made the stands.
I actually bought one. I believe it's called.
Oh, which color?
Sour pucker.
Oh yeah, that one was sort of like a Slimer green, if you will.
Mm-hmm. It's in my foyer.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that somebody's proudly displaying it.
Well, here at the Sidebar, we support fellow artists and people that are out there.
You're an
doing
artisan?
what they believe in.
What is it that you make?
Well, I wouldn't call it an artisan, but I eat polio string cheese.
Huh.
I nibble around the sides until it makes. I have a Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
I've done an Eiffel Tower.
Sure.
I did an Ozzy Osbourne. That was actually, and then I eat the rest of them. I take pictures though, and I put that on my Instagram.
Okay. All right. Oh, so somebody couldn't really buy the art because you've already digested it?
Correct, but
okay.
But I think that adds value because you can buy the picture, and we're currently working on a limited release of string cheeses. Now, not to steal Guns N' Roses. What the string cheese incident? Is that Guns N' Roses? What is that?
There was a band.
The spaghetti incident. Spaghetti incident, I believe, is Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
I believe the string cheese incident is actually a band.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they would reach out to us and reach out to my organization.
Sure.
And,
I mean, I would really
sponsor.
hope so.
Now, Cheese, Wisconsin, you're on the bike.
Yeah.
Any more dating advice? What about...
well, one of the things I did actually really think it was important to mention, when you're tying someone else's bandana, you want to keep kind of like 2 fingers between the bandana and their head.
Why is that?
First of all, your hair is going to look terrible if you have your bandana too tight. You're going to have a weird line through your hair. Another one is if it is too tight, it can kind of squeeze the blood vessels in the top of your head. And when you take it off, I mean, your head can go numb, kind of like when your foot goes numb.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're brushing your hair and you didn't realize you had a tangle, you will remove like 40% of your own hair because your head's numb. And I don't want to be rude, but it's not a bald spot. It's a solar panel for a love machine. It's not true. It's a bald spot and it looks terrible.
They don't run on gas.
You're telling me.
Now, I think what a lot of people don't understand about biker gangs is just the thought and the time that goes into 1, styling, 2, coordinating where you're going to ride, who's riding with who. Even just toll booths is a chore when you have 30 bikes. Now,
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, all the bikes are registered, and essentially, every biker gang is competing against each other. Now, is there some sort of I wouldn't say it's an award show, but there are biker awards.
Yeah. It's sort of like the Oscars of hog wrangling, if you will.
And what are the categories? There's lassoing, donuts,
wheelies.
Right.
Wheelies, yeah.
Hurdles.
We do have a category. It's most people doing a cheerleading pyramid on a bike seat.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Like
I know
when
exactly
you stack
what you mean.
people.
I do.
Yeah, so we do. That is one. We've had it the last 2 years. We are going to take it out. We lost a lot of some of our, a few of my friends, went out this way.
That's actually how our beloved researcher, the intern Addie Harper, lost her pet leprechaun Bemis.
That doesn't sound like it's true. I think you just made that up. I'm talking about something pretty serious right now.
Addie,
a few of my friends died.
Is that true? She's signing. Here's the problem with sign language is that if you don't know it, it could be anything. I'm sorry. Okay, serious topic.
A couple of my friends died. Tanya died. Tanya's sister. Tanya. Barb died.
Rest in peace, Barb.
Yeah. So, if you just kind of want to watch it a little bit and not make jokes about leprechauns, thanks.
We never joke about leprechauns here at the Sidebar.
Yeah, well, it kind of felt like it to me.
Well, our apologies.
Yeah, Irish need not apply. Leprechaun jokes need not apply. This is the USA. Thank you.
Now, another category you have is dragging. Now, how many people can you logistically drag behind a bike before your wheel pops off?
It kind of depends on the people. If you're talking about like your stepkids, usually 4 to 5.
Only if you beat them first.
You do want to have them incapacitated, yeah. If any of them are, over the age of like 17 or they eat a lot, it's going to be fewer. We are going to want fewer, yeah.
Now, last thing, your gang, you're preparing for some sort of stunt. You've kept the details under wraps, but you told us here at the Sidebar that you would be unveiling the stunt. Now it has something to do with the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So this it's hard to tell you without just giving it away. But basically we're gonna build a bike chain, but not like a bike chain, like a chain on a bike, a chain of bikes. And we're gonna have it stretch across the Grand Canyon. And we'll be holding them together with our arms and legs, basically stacking the wheels next to each other, stretching it out across the length of the widest part of the canyon.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. Once we have created the chain, we're going to have a 17-year-old albino black bear crawl across the entire length of the bike chain. That's
Bright Willie.
That is Bright Willie. Yeah. He's going to be doing that. He is going to be wearing a Make America Great Again hat.
And he's on loan from the Albuquerque Zoo.
He is, yeah. And then he's gonna go back. The one thing is like having albinism. He can't really see, so he's gonna have a guide dog that's gonna be walking him across.
Blind Teddy.
That was gonna be Blind Teddy, yeah. And the thing about Blind Teddy is that he has his own seeing eye dog.
And that's Crisscross Applesauce.
It is, yeah.
And he can see very well, but he has no legs.
There is that.
He's on wheels.
Yeah, he's gonna be in like a motorized Barbie car. Not like a big wheel, not like a Power Wheels, but like a Barbie car, literally for Barbie,
like a wagon.
No, a motorized car. We're just kind of setting him on top of it, and then we're going to be using a remote control to have him.
Oh, that's smart. And you want to be at a safe distance.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, at any given time, if they're walking over your bike, you will feel, the weight of all of them.
And the car is obviously loaded with pressurized tanks, and in that heat, it can get pretty dangerous.
Danger is my middle name. I think a lot of people in the Harley community, Danger is also their middle name. Mostly on their birth certificate. I am speaking literally. And few people have changed their middle name to Danger because they kind of felt, like left out and like a pussy.
Well, it's true. I think parents don't understand the power of naming your child. And if you put Danger in their middle name, they're going to be in a biker gang.
100%.
Same as if you name your son Leonard, he's just going to be beat up every day.
Yes.
Stuart is a wedgie machine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Eugene's going to be great at chemistry.
Yep, yeah. Melvin is going to be wearing too tight and short of pants and have a wedgie for most of his life.
That's true. The Melvins of the world can never tie their shoes.
Never. No, they have to wear Velcro shoes.
Right. And so what percentage would you say are Danger in a biker gang? In your biker gang, is 90%, 75%?
Oh, with the middle name Danger?
Yeah.
It's hovering about 90 now that a few of the legal documents have been filed. Yeah.
And the other 10%, what's their middle name?
Well, the thing is with them is that most of them, their middle name is like their grandfather's name, who died fighting in a foreign war. So we let them keep that name because it seems like their grandpa, was a dangerous motherfucker.
And there's always just one crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Well, in our group, it's actually a female. It's Carla Jorgensen. She's wild. She's a wild child.
Otherwise known as milkshakes.
That's Carla. Yeah, milkshakes. Yeah.
Now, Magenta, what's coming up next month on Outlaw Biker Magazine?
Oh, next month's gonna be wild. There's gonna be it's actually the swimsuit edition of Outlaw Biker. That's the one that people look forward to all year long. This year it's the waitresses of Frankie's Bar outside of Baraboo. We did a photo shoot at Devil's Lake. We got the best girls that we have at Frankie's. Two of them are pregnant. During the shoot they were. One of them had her child. The other one, the baby's been in there for like 10 and a half months, but they think it's okay.
It's a long time.
Yeah. But I think it's okay. She looks fine. She's still just as wild as the day I met her, drinking Dr. McGillicuddy's, smoking anything really. Oh, I didn't mean drugs. I meant cigarettes. I just want to make sure everybody knows. Oh my God, who would smoke drugs while they were pregnant? That's horrible.
Nobody the Sidebar would associate with.
Of course not.
Well, Magenta Lee.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you.
The magazine, Outlaw Biker Magazine. The article, Save a Cowboy, Ride a Hog. Coming up next week on the Sidebar, Oscar Wilde. Did he really like Rocky Mountain oysters? Or was that just a myth? I'm Sebastian Morales, saying see you next time.